Hello and hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about diagnosis, problem-based learning or plant diagnosis. This is an approach that we use to teach our students, undergraduate students at the Faculty of Plantations and Agrotechnology, University Technology Mara, on how to do the plant disease diagnosis. Plant disease diagnosis is about knowledge of plant pathology and diagnostic skill that really needs by plant pathologists, especially for those working um, with the agriculture department, for example. They have to assist growers when growers having problems with their plant health, and also to provide advice to the growers how to control the problems in the field. This skill is very important to be nurtured to the students. Therefore, in our teaching and learning for the course of plant crop disease management, we take it seriously to give the students with this skill, diagnostic skill. So let's listen to what approaches that we use for teaching and learning our student. All right, before I start to share further on the approaches that we use for diagnosis of plant diseases, I would like to introduce the our team members. So myself is Dr. Zaidan Sapa, and we have Dr. Noraini Muhammad Noor in these teams, and Associate Professor TS Dr. Muhammad Rasdi Zaini. And we do have Muhammad Zafri Abdul Wahab and also Associate Professor TS Dr. Abdul Rahman Saili. All right. Crop disease management is the subject that we teach our students. And in this subject, there is the topics on how students can do a diagnostic study or diagnostic test to assess or to diagnose plant health. So crop disease management is a 3 credits subject, and is emphasized on the plant health of the especially on the our major crop, for example oil palm, rubber, rice, and many other cash crop or industrial crops. We are talking in this subject, we are talking more on the plant health as a key to the sustainable strengthening of agriculture for to feed the growing global population. So recognitions and advocacy and support for the promotions of the plant health is the paramount importance to guarantee for food security and our safety. So the students will appreciate the knowledge on the maintaining the plant health in order um, to get the high productivities of the crop, and also it could relate with the situations of the importance of the agriculture productivity towards the food security and safety. All right, if you look at these photos, we do have the problems in disease problems in our major crop, for example, oil palm, pineapple, coffee, cocoa, which is all these disease can cause a huge losses in terms of the quality and quantity of the production. All right. In this course, we teach our students plant disease diagnosis. So what is a plant disease diagnosis is all about? It's apply both arts and science to investigate the plant's health problems. It's required considerable experience to become proficient at the task. So this for plant pathologists to have diagnostic skill, they need to perform diagnostic tests for many times to learn, to gain the experience, and to become proficient at the diagnostic study. All right. Basically, there is a few steps and procedure being proposed by a researcher to conduct the proper diagnosis. And for this, we have about 6 steps, which are: first, need to know what is a normal and what is not normal to the plants. So recognize the healthy appearance of the plants, and also if the plant showing is abnormal, so we have to check for the symptoms and the signs of the pathogens if available. So for example, the symptoms in this photo, this one, the first photo, it shows that it's healthy cocoa fruits, and the second one is showing that is not healthy, it's not normal, the cocoa fruits. So we could identify or observe the symptom and signs of the pathogen. Right, and then the disease normally is not only caused by the biotic factors, but it also can cause by abiotic factors. For example, extreme temperature, heavy rains or excessive of water, extreme or dryness. So all these also can contribute the abnormals or the plant appearance. So to observe the patterns will also help the plant pathologists or students to understand either the problems on the plants is caused by a disease, abiotic or biotic factors. So normally for the abiotic factors, the pattern is uniform. And for the biotic factors, which is plant disease pathogens, it can cause these patterns scattered, and also it's not uniform. And then after that, we have to review the culture practices in that particular crop. For example, is it the crops been planted or be integrated with other crops, or that crop is a monoculture, or there is other applications of the chemicals, pesticides or fertilizer, and we need also to review the situations related to environment, because of the disease development is influenced by the environment. For example, the current situations of the weather, either it's a hot days or humid or rainings, all these need to be reviewed by asking the questions, and also looking for the information, searching the information from the literature. And then we collect the samples and then bring to the lab to examine the samples and testings, to especially to identify the cause of pathogens, and also to understand how the pathogens attack the plants. And finally, it's a final diagnosis. After we confirm the pathogens, we understand how the pathogens attack the plants, we could recommend the control or solutions towards the case or the problems to the growers. Okay, all these steps is very important to plant pathologists who need or acquire the skill of diagnosis skill. So how can this step be best taught to our students? So we apply problem-based learnings in this diagnosis. We expose students with a real scenario or real case or real sample to make sure that students can experience real things besides only showing them the photos or the information through the classroom only. So in our approach, we use 3 approaches or 3 methods. First, we giving a knowledge for them in the classroom via the interactive teaching and learning, and we transfer the aim is to give the possible knowledge to the students. And also the second one, we expose the students with the real plant sample or real disease in the field, and also they will bring the sample back to the lab to diagnose in the lab. And the third one, they have the group discussions to discuss how to solve the problems and propose the solution to the problems, and they'll have to write reports, and the reports need to be shared with the experts and also with the peers. All right, the first, knowledge of plant disease. With regards to the knowledge, primary goals of the plant pathology course or crop disease management course is to ensure students have the knowledge on understanding, so grasp understanding on the plant pathogens and environments interaction. Plants, pathogens, and environment interactions, and also how the disease develops. In order, and this based on understanding, the students could think critically in things, how to solve the problems, how to prevent the disease. Better understandings on the concept, principles will guide students to perform better diagnosis on the plant disease. In this photo, it shows that the disease triangle as a base, as a basic. We're talking about the susceptible host, the variable environment, and also virulence pathogens. The interaction can determine the amounts of the disease development. And also another 2 elements were added, which are times and human activity. When we are talking about times, it's about the durations of the plants being planted. So the disease could be different in terms of the plants, annual plants and also perennial crops, or is a short-term crops. And when we touch on the humans activities, we are talking about the practices used by the growers to manage their plants. Either they use the good agriculture practices, or they are not strictly follow the recommended practice, and they use the excessive chemical or pesticides. So this also can contribute to the disease development. And the second photo, it shows that the one plants can be attacked, many various parts of the plant can be attacked by the pathogen. It can cause the disease, for example, powdery mildew, fruit rot disease, fruit spot, leaf spot, necrosis. Even on the roots, it also can cause the root rot, which is can show, the plant can show the symptoms of sufferings from the disease, for the infection. And the ends, of course, it will cause the yield losses in terms of quantity and the quality. All right, so to make sure that students could understand the concept and the principles of the plant pathology, which is very important for them to apply this knowledge during the diagnostic skill, during the diagnostic test. So we use this for knowledge transference of the plant pathology or plant disease to the students. We use 3 approaches, which are active learning, group learnings, and games. Active learning is compasses of cognitive elements. A learner need to actively think and make a judgment. So in the class, we give a case, and then ask the students in the group to interpret the case. For example, we show them photos, visual graphic about the disease infections, how the disease attacks the plants. So they have to think how the disease able to get into the plants and cause the infection. And with the materials, sometimes with the real material brought to the class, and it shows to the students, for example, the chili have the infection, so they need to think and need to discuss in the class to identify what is the disease, what is the plant, the normal plants looks like, and what the appearance of the plants being infected by the pathogen. In this case, for example, we bring a chili with the disease, and also the chili without the normal chili. So through the discussions with the students, so they will identify, try to identify what is the causal cause of this abnormal appearance, and they can use these apps. They can search through the literature. They can discuss among them what is the factors or the causal pathogens to these problems. All right, and at the same time, to stimulate their understandings on how the disease interaction developments is coming from the interactions between host and also between plants and environment. So we use these simple simulations through using the Excel. We call it as a POMIX. This POMIX has been developed by our team and published in 2017. It uses Excel data, Excel sheet, which is students will be given different sets of data. So they will apply the data in this Excel, and from the data they insert into the Excel will give the simulations of the disease, either the disease increase or disease decrease. All this is related to the factors, how the temperature, for example, and humidity interact with the disease. So this also is a group-based exercise. So the student will be divided into 4 groups, and they will be given a data set, or they will play around with the data set, and they can see the simulations of the disease if they insert the data. So they will come with the understandings that with this of the informations, so the data, so they will see either the disease is increased or decreased. All right, so after giving the informations or the knowledge about the disease in the class through the interactive teachings and learning, we also want to test either their understandings or test on their understandings on the subject. So it's a fun times using the games. So we are using the simple games, using these free available games, Kahoot, and the students can compete, can use these games to answer. It's a simple quiz related to the topics, and from this, student will feel fun because they will know who has the good understanding on the subject, and we give a rewards to the winner. All right, the second step is a real case of plant disease diagnosis. Exposing students with real disease sample in the field, we give the real experience for students to value, to appreciate the disease problems in the field. If in the class we're showing them the photos, the figures, the sentences, so sometimes we just give a lecture on the impact of the disease towards the crop, but probably they could understand, but they are not, or they are less appreciates what we are talking about. But when we bring them to the field, then they can see with them the real scenario in the field, so they can appreciate how these pathogens can cause the damage to the crops, so they can more appreciate on the situation. So this is a problem-based learnings with a real case, which is could enhance and their understanding and also stimulate their critical thinking in the group to identify the disease based on the observations, what they found in the field, and how they wants to identify the disease. So in the group of 4 students, they will collect the samples. They will describe the symptoms in the field. They take notes and everything on the symptom and the signs, how the plants look like, the appearance of the plants, the sufferings from the disease, and then they start to predict the cause of pathogens, and then what is how the pathogens could attacks how the pathogens attacks the plants, and why this appearance of the plants and relates with the infection. For example, the plant showing the wilting, how the pathogens cause the wilting, and if the plant showing the rotting, so how these pathogens cause the rotting. So all these discussions among the groups, so they have to come with the ideas, with the knowledge, with the facts and figures on the causal pathogens and also how the pathogens attacks the plants. All right, to help them, so the students could use the free apps from their mobile smartphone, and can be downloaded from their Google Play stores, and they can use, for example, Plantix. And so they can use the Plantix to scan with the photos from what they found in the field. So the Plantix gives ideas what the disease and the causal pathogens, and they could use that as a base for them to understand or to predict the disease and the pathogen. However, they have to clarify the informations with the literature. Okay, the Plantix that normally used by our students is a mobile crop advisory app for use, developed for farmers, extension workers, by Pete, based in Berlin. So this is AI based, use the photos to identify or to predict the plant disease. All right, and then the students have to verify the informations with the literature, and then this problem-based learning activity encourage for them to work as a team, member as a team, and also to do the good communications among the members. They have to write a report, so they need to collect all the informations during the visit or the field trip. They have to collect the relevant data, for examples, the plant age, the variety, the weather and the situations, and also the signs, and also the symptoms of the plants. So then they have to collect all these samples, bring to the lab. All right, and also when the sample were brought to the lab, they have to confirm the pathogens So they will do the isolation and also identifications of the pathogen using the lab equipments. For example, they will cut the samples and then surface sterilize and then grow on the media and then observe under light microscope to identify to isolate the potential pathogens, and then they also need to complete a course postulate in order to confirm the real causal pathogens to the particular disease. And then after they have the solid answer for that, they will prepare a report and also they will prepare a video, and then for using the e-portfolio, and then they have to verify the proposed and they have to come with the proposed solutions to the case, to the disease problem, and they have to discuss among team members and then search through the literature and prepare the reports and the videos, and then they will share the videos to the experts, and then we do the arrangements of the collaborative teachings with the other university experts, for example, plant pathologists from the universities in Indonesia. So we give the chance for the students to show their reports and they get the feedbacks from the expert. And also from these activities of this teaching approach, we also at the end of the course, we also get the feedback from the students, and then most of the students happy with the approaches, with the teaching methods. For example, they found that it's really helpful because they found it make their learning easier as they can identify the disease in the field. And I understand how to recognize a disease from a specific angle using a lab collected plant disease sample. I can determine the types of the disease and prevention. And the others say that I now know how to recognize a disease from a particular perspective. I can identify the types of the disease and prevention. And I've learned to identify the disease with specific view of the disease. With the plant disease sample from the lab, I acknowledge the types of disease and their prevention. And the most helpful things about this PBL is how much I learned from it. Each experiment we gain different outcome based on how the student conduct the experiments. This knowledge cannot be acquired but just by reading a book. So these are types of the feedbacks we found or we got from the students. And we also put all these methods or approach for the teaching students interactive for plant disease diagnosis into the publications. We planning to publish together in the sixth international conference on the future of teaching education. The episode has been accepted for conference, and also we trying to publish in the index journal from that been listed by this conference. Okay, that's all. Thank you for listening.